Hi guys, Blacksmith Bets here, making a video talking about football again. Look, my specialist sport is mixed martial arts. It's what I understand the best. It's what I make most of my money on. I think 80% of my profit, I think the last time I analysed the profit from everything I bet on, is from the UFC specifically. I separate the UFC from other MMA because the UFC, it's different to other MMA organisations in that I've just got a much better knowledge on the fighters. I follow it a lot more religiously than others. So I do lump some other MMA bets in with what I call all sports, which is any other sport. But generally, UFC is my most profitable sport. Other sports are just behind it. So UFC at the moment, I've got a 28% ROI. Other sports, it's 26, which isn't much of a difference. But with the UFC, I've had a two-week period where I lost, which has driven the average down. It was actually ridiculously high before then. It was about 45% ROI at one point, which is not a realistic ROI for long term. But because I've only been doing this for 9 weeks, the VIP, my data is not equivalent to someone who's been doing it for like a year. So it can go up and down a lot more. It will probably average out below 20%. Because not many people can achieve more than a 20% ROI. But for now, I'm doing very, very well. And for football and other sports, I'm doing very, very well as well. I'm having a good run. It has tapered off though. I had a really big month and then it got more, I would say more so what you would expect from your average capper. And then it peaked up again the last couple of weeks. So it is going well. But I want to talk about what I talked about in my last video when I said you're betting football wrong, because it's coming up again and again. You'll see in my free Telegram group when I talk about betting where the value is. I keep making multiple analysis because in the free group I don't really just want to give plays out all the time. I want to show you why I'm making the plays and how you should be betting. And every time we do this type of analysis, we win, and we win with decent odds. And that is fading the public, betting against where all the public money is, and making sure it's in a spot that is advantageous to the team. So the two things we're doing, we're making sure the match analysis is in our favour. So we're looking at a team who has got some sort of advantage over the other. Fatigue is a big one. We've seen fatigue absolutely destroy teams, especially in the last month or two. I've had people say to me before, someone I used to bet with a lot actually, and he plays football himself, really, really good sports bettor as well. And he said to me, Ben, athletes are in fantastic shape. He's a semi-pro footballer himself as well, in phenomenal shape. He says they can recover very quickly, and this is absolutely true. This is why there's always a caveat, because sometimes fatigued teams just push through and do well. But it's one element of the equation. When you have fatigue and then a bad stylistic matchup, and then when you see the public betting on the other side, it's like a holy trinity. But most importantly, what we've been doing is fading public underdogs. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when the public are backing an underdog. It's a very rare thing because most sports bettors, most people who bet sports, 99% who lose money, they only bet favourites. They bet the Man Cities, they bet the Arsenals, they bet Tottenham when the matchup's good for them. You know, Tottenham not so much a hot team anymore, but earlier in the season, Tottenham were a big team. They score a lot of goals. It's a bit like an MMA fighter who's maybe not the best fighter, but he gets a lot of knockouts. People like to bet them. So the public often lose, or they pick favourites who win, but the odds are so poor, it's not profitable long term. They are not good at betting plus money. Anything that's over doubling your money, the public almost always gets wrong. So when you see the public are largely on an underdog, it's alarm bells. How do you know this? Well, you can look at the line movement and you can watch it. If the line is going down, that means more public money is coming in. If it's going up, that means people are betting on the other side. But easier, go onto a website. Action Network is the one I used to use, but they don't have football odds. They say they do, but they don't. Go onto VISN, it shows you the split. It shows you the handle, the total amount of money bet, and the total number of bets. It's important to look at both because you can see if we take the extreme that you'd get, which is 1% of total bets, but 99% of total money. That almost never happens, but that means only 1% of people are betting 99% of the money. How's that happen? Well, it means that 99% of people are making tiny bets and 1% of people are making huge bets. So you're looking for a big divide. You're looking for a lot of tickets on one side. A lot of tickets means that's where the public are betting. And then not a lot of tickets on the other side, but a lot of total money for those tickets that aren't on the dominant side, and less total money for the side that has the most tickets. If that makes sense. So if we say we've got a situation the other day like Wolves and Bournemouth, and I said, Bournemouth, public underdog alert, avoid Wolves. I think it was something like 70% of people were betting on Wolves, but I can't remember what it was now, something like 50% of the total money. So there's lots of small tickets, that means. And then on the other side, you had 50% of the money, but only 30% of the bets, or just below actually, because some people were betting draw. That tells you there's some big spenders, people making big bets on Bournemouth. Why is that important? Because the people who make big bets are the professionals. They're the ones laying big money. And they only do that if they're confident. They are not always right. It's important to remember the public does win sometimes. So this is why you can't just go and look at the split and just say, oh, it's a public underdog, I'm going to max bet the other side. No. You've got to make sure the analysis matches up, and even then it's football. Just like any sport, there's variance. There could be a red card, there could be penalties, there could be disallowed goals. There was 2 disallowed goals for Wolves. So even in this example, on another day, I may not be able to make this video because that example wouldn't work. But we've used this a few times now to manage to find when the public are wrong. The other one was last weekend, Man United versus Coventry. We actually cashed 2 plays. I gave 2 different plays. I gave a safer one and a riskier one. We got the early cash out for Man United to win, both teams to score. Nice plus money bet, like 275. But I also gave the riskier play, which was the draw, which is at 475. So that hit as well. So we got very lucky because the early cash out on bets 365 gave us the win for the Man United money line plus both teams to score, and then it drew. Everyone was on Man United, everybody. Even though Man United have been poor, they're inconsistent, the defence is shocking. Coventry are a team who will take shots. The first half they only had 1 shot at all. Actually, not even, I was about to say 1 shot on goal. I think they just had 1 single shot, and I was like, this isn't them. They came out and just put the boot in, they just went mad. And a team like Man United are susceptible to a team who is just going to put the pressure on and just go for broke. Drew, we made a load of money. Again, fading the public. I saw so many people on Man United. And this is why this is important. I said this in the last video, but I'm going to keep saying it because people are not understanding and they're still going to bet the favourites. When 90% of people are betting a favourite, there is no value. The more people that bet that favourite, the lower the odds go because the bookies want to minimise their risk. Even though they think they're giving you poor value because they don't like to give good value to the majority of people, because then if Man United win, they've got to pay you out. So they're going to make sure the odds are not good. They're not plus EV. So that means if that game plays 100 times, you will not make money. That means on the other side, there is a lot of value because they don't mind if 10% of people win. It's only a small fraction of the total people. So they're going to give you good odds. They want to tempt you into betting the poorer team. So with Man United, even though the odds aren't great, they know you're going to bet them because 99% of people bet favourites. We're talking about public underdogs. So when people want to bet an underdog, they'll make the price attractive. People bet Wolves. They're like, oh yeah, we get Wolves at 3.20 odds or whatever it was. Yeah, great. Ignoring that their form was terrible, they were not doing well. Bournemouth were doing very well, and stylistically it was a good matchup for them as well. So instead of getting 2.40 odds, which is great value for Bournemouth, people saw the odds for Wolves being much higher. Wolves are playing quite well or have been playing well in the past and they're at home, so people back them. Big mistake. If you looked at the betting splits, that would have triggered an alarm. The splits are a good way to get a snapshot to find out who the bookies want you to back, because the bookies spend a huge amount of money, millions and millions, on analysts trying to figure out who's going to win and how they set the lines. They don't get it wrong very often. And in that game, we know because 70% of people were betting Wolves, we know that the bookies want you to bet Wolves because they are not going to pay 70% of people out are winning. They might do that sometimes when they get it wrong, but they don't get it wrong very often. So that means we know that they are confident that Bournemouth are probably going to win. So guys, Use public betting splits. It works. Some people say it doesn't. You can't, just like I said, you can't use it in isolation. Use it as a tool for everything else. When the stars align and you've got a public underdog, you fade them. But make sure that everything else makes sense as well. Start doing it. People are not doing it. It's such an easy tool. You can get a free subscription as well for the first month or two or whatever. You don't really have to pay anything. It's very, very cheap. It will make you your money back. You should be doing this all the time. It should just be a standard thing. You look at the odds history so you can see how the books are adjusting the lines. You're looking for reverse line movement. You're looking for how they're adjusting, because they will try and secure an extra bit of profit by making the lines less efficient before kickoff. And also look at the public betting splits. There's blacksmith bets. Do this because it's been working. Follow our free group, because the free Telegram group, I've been talking about this and posting about it, and it has been working very, very well in the last few weeks. So go in there and start betting football the way you're supposed to, which is by betting on the side that has the value, not the side that you think is going to win.